Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair, and I just got back from watching Alien Covenant. And as this is a reaction review, for those not familiar yet, since it has been so long since I've done. Anyway, first 10 minutes or so is planned to be just me talking about it in a way that doesn't spoil anything, and last 10 minutes or so of this reaction review, I'm going to be spoiling everything I can. So, without further ado, Alien Covenant. It's got some improvements in my mind over Prometheus. I would rather watch Alien Covenant than Prometheus, but it is still very similar in a lot of ways, and in a lot of those things, it's like, if you really liked Prometheus, I'm not so sure you would absolutely love this, because, I mean, it has a lot of similarities, but at the same time, it does do a lot of things to try and bridge the gap between Prometheus and the main series, and in a lot of ways, in doing so, it throws out a lot of Prometheus. A lot of the stuff built up in Prometheus doesn't really go... It is explained how it's bridged, but at the same time, it's like, hey, all those points weren't important, here we are now. But in terms of just being a, general movie and enjoyable, in the Alien franchise, you have your balance between action and horror, and I think that this particular film leaned a hell of a lot more towards action, because there were only a couple of scenes that I can even recall that even attempted the use of suspense, but even then it wasn't particularly effective in my opinion, and the whole thing just was not able to build any kind of feeling of dread throughout. It didn't give any of those good, scary kind of things that you get with, there's some shit around, you don't know where it is, what are you going to do about it? And I was like, no, that's right there, grab your gun, run down that hallway, something exploded, now go over there, push over that giant machine, this giant machine exploded, then that exploded, now your gun exploded, and the alien exploded, and now you exploded, everything exploded. It gets a bit all over the damn place. It's very ADD in how it exactly went about the direction and what have you. Cast of characters, okay. They do go through quite a few relatively quickly, so I'm not sure how fleshed out several of them were. They did seem to be a little bit more on the believable side than the crew of the Prometheus, but at the same time there were still plenty of little things where I'm just like, yeah. I mean, you got Jermaine Girl, and there's one thing about Ripley that they just haven't gotten right since. Is the thing with Ripley is that she wasn't written as a woman. She was written as just a crew member, and there were things about Sigourney Weaver being female that did obviously affect the way that Ripley was portrayed, but her point was, okay, I'm here to do a job. Okay, shit happened. All right, well, fuck it, I gotta deal with this shit. Of course, it's very taxing and is excruciatingly terrifying, but I gotta deal with this shit. Whereas I'm with Lady in Prometheus, it was like, okay, I got this great big dream in the sky, but also remember, I'm barren. This is an incredibly important character trait. I can't have children. And you got this one, is like, okay, we got this big dream I've got in the sky with the love of my life we wanted to go and raise a family with, and then shit happens, and then she's in crying fits for most of it, until it's time to kick ass. And then she afterwards ends up getting emotional again. She was a bit more extreme than Shaw was, because Shaw, she did have that kind of assertive, no nonsense attitude to her throughout, but this one she just, it's like, I wanted to colonize the planets, but all this shit we got to deal with along the way is just too much. Too much. Okay, now it's not. It's just let's just fucking just rock it and fucking everything explodes because I'm causing explosions and just Oh man, that was really the emotional aspect of it. It's heartbreaking. Okay, time to kick more ass. All right. Now it's time. Everything's good now. It's kind of a roller coaster with that. But the characters did show that they had relationships with each other, and you did, for the ones that stuck around for more than 15 minutes, you did start to kind of feel the camaraderie. So that worked in that sense. It was a better character interaction than we've had in a lot of the Alien movies since 3. Because Resurrection, characters, and then after that, of course, it's Prometheus, and didn't particularly like most of them. Yeah. I'd have to say that Alien Covenant really kind of comes in around a 3 out of 5 for me. It just feels very average with the way it goes about things. There's nothing really, as artsy as it tries to be, it still carries that over from Prometheus. Is nothing really particularly profound, in my opinion. A lot of the questions it asks about life and the origin of life and what it means to be created and this and that and what it means to be creative in the first place is a lot of the same stuff that was asked in Prometheus. So it's like you're treading the same water. It's not going anywhere. And I don't understand why we had to go over that again. But yeah, the overall thing is just like it feels like this could have been more, but at the same time it also feels like they were trying to appease the amount of people who saw Prometheus like me and was like, what the hell is this? Where's the alien? What the frick? And everyone's like, it's not called Alien. Of course there's no alien. And it's like, no, Alien Covenant. Guys, there's an alien in this one. Look, alien in the trailer. And indeed, alien in the movie. But still, in order to get there, it just went really fast, and I think they could have explained the process a bit more thoroughly. It's just I feel like a good horror movie could have been here, but instead we got an average action flick. And the sci-fi aspects of it, there are some, pretty nice sci-fi, like, hey, what if? And at the same time, there is just nobody would ever be this stupid. Why? Oh, because plot says so, of course. And so, you're used to that in horror, characters being just really dumb. But I feel like, this was trying to be horror, but it failed so badly at being horror. I really don't think it fits in the horror genre. I can tell from the couple of suspenseful shots that they were trying to have some kind of horror bent, at least to those scenes, but those weren't particularly effective, and the absolute rest of the movie just lacked any kind of horror to it. That's really disappointing for me, because that's the kind of Alien I like the best, the kind that builds dread, the kind that makes you fearful for what the fuck is going to happen. You don't know where the damn thing is. We just had the first good Alien game in a long time with Alien Isolation. What made that good? Because you didn't know where that motherfucker was. You could know he's near, but if you are looking at him, you're probably too fucking close and need to get the hell out of there. So, it's that kind of dread, that kind of just terror wasn't there. The action was standard. Nothing really stuck on one thing long enough for me to get too interested. It's like, I'm pretty sure they referred to one of their little pod ships as such and such ship 1. So I thought that they'd have another one later, but instead they're like, nah, fuck that design. Just repurpose something else that was never meant to do something like this to come and do this, because We just put a 1 because we thought we liked numbers. It's just that was actually the only one we had. I don't know. I'm just confused. So, that is about all I have to say, spoiler-free, or it's close to spoiler-free as I can. So, what is the spoilers for this? Hey, black goo? It's now black gas, because when you drop down on an alien planet, just remember, Shaw survived with David, like, hey, we're gonna go fucking fuck these motherfuckers up with this fucking shit, yeah. Or something, I can't remember exactly. It's been a long time since I sat down and watched Prometheus. But, yeah, what happened? Well, he and her came down onto the, I guess, main engineer world, you'd say. And it's like, hey, guys, it'd be funny? Black goo rain. But instead of rain, it became a cloud because, I don't know, David said some shit about, it atomized when it came in contact with air. But it just means there's no goo anymore. It's all dust or spores, which is the amazingly stupid shit they did was they went down on a planet with life. They knew it was life. And they didn't even have a scene where they're like, oh, breathable atmosphere. Okay, let's go in there, breathe this atmosphere, and have a good time. No, they just fucking opened the thing up like it was fucking Star Trek, stepped out there like, oh, yeah. So, yeah. And strangely enough, the plant life, some of the shit wasn't that good to breathe in. And it's you not necessarily have to breathe it, it's just they got like the little spore things. You bump into it and they burst out the little black goo as a spores thing, but it works differently now because it's not the goo anymore, it's the spores or the gas. Or when black gas hits engineers, it petrifies them in blackness and and it's like some shit out of Pompeii. But when black gas spores, whatever the fuck they are, go into your ear or up your nose, they cause one of the deacon xenomorphs that popped out of the engineer at the end after he got jumped on by the gigantic facehugger, causes one of the little deacon things to come out of you, except this time it's a white deacon and not a black deacon like then, and it has a tail now. Because they remembered they fucked up and forgot to add the tail before. So these things, they just like run around and do shit, and that's like the end of the line for that. Yay. How we get from to the final xenomorph, actually none of that line has anything to do with it, if this is anything to go by. Instead, you get the black goo turns into black dust, gets into plant life, and that creates some other kind of shit. And then they explain it really quickly, like David goes through and he pretty much uses selective breeding to eventually reach xenomorph. And they just kind of like, so there were these little bug things, and they injected the shit and stuff, and then kind of moved on to this and this and that and that and that. And it's like, and if you'll go behind door number 2, we have these eggs. And it's got the eggs, you got the facehuggers in the eggs. No queen yet. So, what came first? Xenomorph, queen, or the egg? And, yeah. The speed of gestation. As long as it took in the original Alien for Kane to succumb to the facehugger and for it to stay on him and then fall off and die and then have it come out of his chest and then have to grow up. Holy shit, does this thing fucking explode out of his... They say they're going to look for the captain, find him, you got 5 minutes. Like, they seriously... I think that's exactly... Yeah, I'm doing good today. But like, find him, bring him back, you got 5 minutes, shit like that. And in that time, it's like, hey, this is one of the slow, suspenseful scenes. Mr. Captain Man, look in this egg. It's a nice egg. You want to look in there. And it would possibly work for the slow, suspenseful way, the same way Kane discovering the egg, poking it and opening up, and then kind of looking down confusingly and just trying to get a closer look at what he's looking at. That might work, except instead you got like David in the corner with popcorn like, yeah, poke it, yeah. It's good, cool, take a look. You don't want to miss this shit. And yeah, so that is kind of a way to kill the suspense, to have it constantly popping over to him giving advice on how the scene should work. And it's like, fucking Ridley, get yourself out of the fucking frame. Stop that. And I mean, the twist was ridiculously obvious. I mean, because it's like David had access to a knife, and he was with the good android, and they were locked in mortal combat. And it fucking cuts away, and we see good android come out with a little knife wound on the side of his head. And they don't say shit. Well, he's like, David, he's dead. Yeah, I did my job. And it's like, it's obvious. If that were the case, they would have fucking shown it. So, and with his mannerisms, it's bloody obvious. But that's the big twist. It's like, oh my god, they switched SIM cards at some point. That's actually David. Oh! It's like, no shit. So, it's just the whole thing with the deacon, it doesn't really go anywhere. You get the atomized thing that goes in through selective breeding, suddenly it goes into xenomorph. And there's a couple of xenomorphs. And the fucking, after the captain, xenomorph pops out of his chest in only a couple of minutes based on the timeline they gave. The thing is already got a fully formed dome, arms and legs, and it starts fucking playing charades with David there. Because he's like, and it's like, and it's like, why the fuck is it doing this? He said something about, like, you blow up its nose and they listen to you or some shit. Which, he's an android, so I don't know how that would work anyway. But, yeah. It's got some interesting aspects to it, but every time something happens, like when the alien's involved, suddenly you gotta be swinging from a fucking rope with a fucking gun, shooting shit while flying up in the air in the machine that wasn't designed to do this, but we have to get it to work because the other Transport 2 didn't actually exist. We only ever had Transport 1. Very sorry about this. I'll give you an IOU. So it's, I mean, the action can be fun and all, but at the same, it just feels very generic with how, it's trying to think of how exactly to explain it, because talking about being on a repurposed spaceship component now used as a drop ship, and now you're swinging on it like it's a goddamn vine in a tree, shooting a fucking rifle in all ways while an alien is clinging and trying to fucking kill you. Referring to that as generic sounds kind of questionable, but I mean, it's the fact that it couldn't sit on any single point of action, any kind of point of scrimmage to have some kind of thing to have, okay, this is what we gotta do to beat this, and we're gonna fucking concentrate on that for a minute or so to see what happens. It's like, no, this happens and that happens and that happens. And let's bring in the other fucking equipment. Let's bring in the other scene. Let's go there. Because no one can pay attention to the same thing for too long. Otherwise, you're just, completely lost interest. And that's juxtaposed against the only slow scenes really being those where they're trying to be poetic and trying to be artsy and trying to put together some kind of like life. What's the origin of life? What's the meaning of creation? What's this and what is it all? It's like this is the same shit you asked in the last movie and didn't answer, and you're not answering them again. Thank you. So it's Alien Origins, to me, disappointing because I wanted more, and I think that's probably going to be how a lot of fans of the Alien franchise feel. It's weird because I'm not sure if like fans of Prometheus will really enjoy it because of the fact that it kind of skips over a lot of the mystery surrounding the goo and is like, oh yeah, a bunch of other shit involved, but hey, you got your xenomorphs back now. It just kind of skips over, it summarizes the fuck out of that process. And now we're just looking at aliens and xenomorphs and stuff in space again. And classic characters, just the only one that really is surviving is David. This does have technically a bad ending, which is something, but at the same time, it's not really something that is. It feels more like sequel bait. And it's when you have sequel bait to something that you absolutely know they're going to have a sequel to anyway, it just feels gratuitous. And yeah, no one got too attached to Shaw because, well, it turns out David's a bad guy, so he just dissected her because that's what he does. He likes checking out people's insides. So yeah, that's Alien Covenant. It's got a bit of an identity crisis, I think. Either that or I just don't know what to think of it. It's got basic cinematic appeal. It does its job as a action movie. It is almost okay in the science fiction sense, but it really drops the ball in horror. And that's what I really like my alien movies to be. Horror. I enjoy that. So, suppose that's this video. Thank you all for watching. I've been Shado. And remember, don't throw your black goo out the window. You can't get that shit back in the bottle after that.